Today's topic is law of cosines, and this will be day one of law of cosines. Two problems, that's it. Okay, now first of all, I'm going to write down, there's two ways of using the law of cosines. One is when you're given two sides and one angle. When you're given two sides and one angle, here's what they can look like. And we're dealing with triangle ABC. Could be triangle XYZ or something like that, but anyhow, we're just going to deal with triangle ABC. There's three ways this could be written. It depends on what you're looking for. A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine B. And C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. And you should see a pattern here. Okay, depending on what you're looking for, you're given two sides and an angle. You're looking for the third side. And today's work with this is only what we call side angle side case. And you may remember that from geometry for the side angle side case. All right, so let us look at problem number 1. Okay, so problem number 1, they're all drawn for you. Okay, so we have A is given as 46 degrees. B, side B is given as 4, and side C is given as 8. Now side A is over here. It's the unknown side, and this is side angle side in that order. Another way to look at this is you're given three things, and you have all three letters, and only one of them is an angle. So you got an A, B, and C, and only one of them is an angle. All right, so we can use, looking for side A, we use this. A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. Now, you can substitute the values, and you don't know this. Okay, so that's equal to 4 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 4 times 8 times the cosine of 46 degrees. Okay, we will do this all at once, which I think is the best policy. All right, so we're going to take, because we want A, we want to take the square root of 4 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 4 times 8 times the cosine of 46 degrees. And there you go, 5.96. A is approximately 5.96. Okay, so we know all three sides now. Now we can find the angles. Now, we could use the law of sines, but the law of sines is a little bit risky to use here. So we can find sides with angles with the law of cosines as well. And you find angles with the law of cosines by these equations. Cosine of A is equal to B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. And similarly, there's a pattern, cosine B, and you guys might, we always did this by having people tell me, okay, so any one of these. Now we don't know these two angles, angles B and C. So we can use this and this in order to find those angles. Okay, so let's put them in. Okay, so to find the cosine of B. Or to find angle B. We're going to write it as cosine B, but we're going to do an inverse cosine here to get it. Okay, so to find angle B, we're going to go with 5.96 squared. We'll estimate here, and that's okay. I mean, we have to approximate at least a little bit. Okay, so 5.96 squared plus 8 squared minus, or pardon me, cosine B. That's A. Yeah, 5.96 squared plus 8 squared minus 4 squared. I'm right. Over 2 times 5.96 times 8. All right. So I'll write it down here. Angle B. All right, we're going to have to do it by calculator, though. Let me move it up a little bit. Okay. All right, here's what I say to do. Do this all by calculator. It's a lot easier. But you just have to practice it a couple times. Inverse cosine. Now we need to take the whole numerator by itself. Okay, so put double parentheses. 5.96 squared plus 8 squared. Let the calculator do the work. Now, I mean, 4 squared is obviously 16, but might as well let the calculator do the work. 2 times 5.96 times 8. Close them both off. Okay, so angle B is 28.9 degrees. Okay. Cosine C, again, just using the numbers that we already have here. A squared, which is 5.96 squared, plus, in this case, 4 squared. Now these two numbers are going to get reversed, and it looks very similar. 2 times 5.96 times 4. Okay, again, very similar. Inverse cosine of 5.96 squared plus 4 squared minus 8 squared. Whoops, you know what I did? I forgot to put this in there. You need double parentheses here. If you make a mistake, it'll be obvious. So, okay, on the bottom I need 2 times 5.96 times 4. Okay, so that is 105.2. Okay, now remember that these things are cosines, so you have to take the inverse cosine to get those angles. And up here, these are squared, so you have to take the square root to get the actual side. Now, a good way to check to see if we got this all right is that now we have all three angles, and we got 2 of them by the law of cosines. The whole thing should add up to 180 degrees. So let's see, 46 plus 28.9 plus 105.2. Now look at that, 180.1. If you come pretty close, you can just assume that you're correct, because we did use approximate values in here in order to calculate these angles. So there's no problem if you get 180.1 or 179.8 or something like that, because you're not really making a big mistake. You're just using some approximated values in there, and you just have to get close. Now, if you end up adding them together and you get 147 or something, yeah, you really have to go back and check and see what you did wrong. Okay, let's look at number 7. Okay, number 7 is drawn for you. And tomorrow we're going to talk about triangles that aren't necessarily drawn for us. We're going to see how far we get with all this stuff too. All right, so A, B, C is given to you. A is equal to 6, C is equal to 3, and B is equal to 4. All right, this is the case of side, side, side. Given 3 sides. Now the only thing you can do here, and this is law of cosines applies, in those 3 formulas that I had bore you, on the last page, and I'm only going to do one, cosine A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. In the pattern, okay, so this is the law of cosines to find angles. We did it on the last page as well. You can do this 3 times. Now, you can also do it 2 times and then subtract those 2 angles off of 180 to get the third, but I think it's better to do it all 3, and that way, and then add them up, and there's no way to get this wrong, okay? And we might as well go through it. Cosine B is equal to a squared plus c squared minus b squared over 2ac. Cosine C is equal to a squared plus b squared minus c squared over 2ab. You substitute all the values in, and just take the inverse cosines. Now, in the interest of time, I will not write them all in. I mean, just write this stuff down, look at the problem, substitute the values in. We'll do 1. Okay, so b squared, we're going to find a. So this is 4 squared plus 3 squared minus 6 squared over 2 times 4 times 3. All right, so a. And remember, you have to take the inverse cosine here. You're not just finding the number. Now, if you take this and if you just get this number, you should get a number between -1 and 1, because cosines have to be between -1 and 1. But we're taking inverse cosine. And again, let the calculator do the work. You can type, I mean, you can do this in your head. 3 squared obviously is 9, but I say type it in because that way you're looking at what you did. If you get something wrong, you just have to look at it, and then you'll know that it's wrong. You get into a rhythm here, all right? So you get approximately, A is approximately 117.3 degrees. Now, if you go through the B, and I'm not going to do it, bore you, you get approximately 36.3, and C will be approximately 26.4. Add those 3 things up, and they should come close to 180. Again, I don't recommend finding 2 and then subtracting from 180, because if you make a mistake, it's not going to show up as being right. But if you find all 3 by this method and then add them up, you know you're right, because it has to come out somewhere near 180 degrees. Every triangle has 180 degrees. Now, this is a situation where you're given 3 sides. You use the law of cosines in this format when you're given 3 sides. And going back as a review, if you're given side angle side, you use the law of cosines in this format. All right, so for your homework, you really only have 2 problems. So in section 7.2, and it's a single document, section 7.1 and 7.2, the book problems. I put that on late yesterday, I apologize. Numbers 2 and 8. That's it. 1 side angle side, 1 side, side, side. All right.